Welcome back, everybody. It's episode 23 of the What's He On About Cricket podcast. I'm your host, Charlie, and today, this is what is coming your way. Number one, Harry Brook is the new white ball captain. We're going to have a little look at that one. We're going to see the top stories of the county championship. Tom Banton, in particular, with a mammoth score we're going to come on to. We're going to look at my game of the week. Then we're going to have a look at Jack Leach versus Bashir. See how those two got on when they locked horns from Glamorgan to Somerset. It's two opposite days for two Durham batters. Then we've got one good story of the week, one bad story of the week for the county championship, and then, as always, we round it all off with the Guess the Cricket legend. This time is an Indian Test cricket legend, and the first clue, remember, the fewer clues you get it on, the better. He's been retired for over 10 years. There's your first clue as we start to enjoy and look forward to this episode of What Is He On About? Harry Brook is the new white ball captain. He takes over from Joss Butler in troublesome times for the white ball squad. But first of all, I just want to mention how happy I am that it is not Benjamin Stokes. Any person who thought that Ben Stokes was the best person to take the ODI team forward, I'm not happy with. And I reckon we'd have a little battle, you and me. I just think anyone who thinks that we need to take Stokes away from prioritising the test game and put the ODIs on his plate when he's still rehabbing, when he's still getting back from his injury that he got from doing the test stuff. Unbelievable. Do not go anywhere near Stokesy. Leave him alone. Let him do his thing. Let him prioritise the test game. He shouldn't even play for the ODI stuff again. I know maybe he'd be good enough, but it's really important we don't touch this guy. We've got to leave him alone because he is precious to all of us. All right. But looking at Harry Brook, here are the positives of his captaincy. Everyone says he's got a great cricket brain. Absolutely great cricket brain. Everyone said who's played with him on the pitch, whether they're the captain or the wicketkeeper, Harry Brook's always been a pivotal part of the on-field decision making when it comes to those key decisions. When the leadership needs someone to go and ask, Harry Brook has always been the man. He's been thinking whilst no one else has been. That's Harry Brook, great cricket brain on the field. Then he fits the mould, doesn't he? He fits the mould of England's best batter. It's always been over recent years, hasn't it? From Andrew Strauss to Alistair Cook to Joe Root, whoever's the best batter will give him the armband. You can be the captain. And Harry Brook fits that mould. Absolute wizard of a batter. And the fact that he's got a great cricket brain really just takes him to the next level. Harry Brook as the England captain could be unbelievable. But this is what I want you to really hone in on here, is a lot of people might be worried that the captaincy might affect his batting. However, wrong. Harry Brook captained England versus Australia, 5 ODIs last summer in September, and he averaged 78 with the bat, including one pretty nice ton in there. So Harry Brook shouldn't be worried about the captaincy affecting his batting. But as we move on to the negatives, that 5-match ODI series did end in a loss for England under Harry Brook. It was a 3-2 loss. And moving forwards, it's a massively packed schedule. Harry Brook, even more recently in the IPL, he's had to pull out of the IPL because his schedule's been too packed. He's been away from home for too long, plus a lot of personal reasons in there. I'm a tiny bit worried that as we look forward, this ODI and Test England schedule is so packed that actually there are going to be some ODIs Harry Brook's going to have to miss out on just because of how packed that schedule is. So Harry Brook needs to be able to cope with this pressure of not only playing a huge amount of England fixtures, but also having the extra pressure of the England ODI and T20 captaincy under his belt. And I know we've talked about how it probably won't affect his batting. However, he has been in pretty low form, averaging 18 in the T20s versus India over the winter and 16 with the bat in ODIs versus India and the Champions Trophy. So his recent form is not really up there. However, could the captaincy really turn him on into that batting legend we know he can be? Right, then we come on to the county championship. The main part of this show is having a look at what a brilliant start to the summer it was. And talking of brilliant starts, we'll start with Tom Banton. When anyone, especially Tom Banton, starts the day on 83 not out, and we find out he's still batting at the end of the day, we know he's done some pretty significant damage. Yep, Tom Banton finished the next day out on 371 of 403 balls. And yes, with 56 fours. That combined, those 56 fours, is a total of 224 runs in fours. Yes, he got two sixes as well, but he got over a double ton in boundaries along the ground. And when it comes to England selection, you can easily say something like, "Oh, it's only 100. You know, anyone can hit 100 on his day. We'll look past this lad. Oh, this bowler's just got a fiver. Any decent bowler can get a fiver on his day. We'll look past him." You can't really say that for it's only a 371 off 400 balls. We can't really look past that, can we? So Tom Banton has put himself in a terrific position moving forward onto this year of Test England cricket. And I believe he has staked his claim to 100%. He got included in the Champions Trophy and the Indian series over the winter. However, I think he has claimed 100% a spot on that England Test squad. I think it fits Brendan McCullum's mould perfectly. He's come in from the short stuff. He's got a massive triple ton in the long format. And in terms of Baz's ethos of picking players who can win you a game, unless, even though they didn't quite win this game, I do think someone who can hit 370 or 400 rocks probably puts you in decent positions to win games. But I don't want to shy away from the fact that James Rew also got 150 in all this. This young lad is really staking a claim to be England's next keeper batsman, as Jamie Smith got two starts for Surrey over the weekend and didn't capitalise. But James Rew looks immaculate, and I wouldn't be surprised if he plays for England over the next couple of years. Game of the week. We've been talking about it. We have been talking about the game of the week, Somerset versus Worcestershire, and it was that final innings really for Worcestershire. But before we got to that point, and after Banton's triple ton, Worcestershire had a first innings deficit of 516 runs. Both teams have batted, and Worcestershire, they had to get back 516 and then set a total on top of it. And somehow Worcestershire share the points with Somerset after being over 500 runs down. Brett D'Oliveira, the Worcestershire captain, what an incredible knock, 121 off 340, before being given one of the worst decisions by an umpire I've seen in modern history. One of those absolute beauties where Brett D'Oliveira has gone to pad away a ball miles outside the off stump to Archie Vaughan. And just because it's hit him on the pad and it's a leave, and the umpire knows there's a rule where if there's no shot played, the ball can hit the pads outside the line of off stump. The umpire has absolutely triggered that finger. Unbelievable how fast he gave him out there off a decision which was highly, highly questionable. But that was Brett D'Oliveira. How unbelievable would it have been if they'd lost that game after that decision with D'Oliveira on 121? But Matthew Waite came in clutch with 87 not out of 319 balls batting low down the order. What a tremendous knock. And talking of tremendous knocks, I want to pinpoint this guy, the young number 11 for Worcestershire, who got 5 off 44 balls. That screams Jack Leach's one not out at Headingley 2019. What a great knock from the young lad. What a great spell of batting from Worcestershire's lower order to save that draw from being 516 runs behind. But talking of battles, I want to talk about the England spinner battle. Jack Leach versus Shah Bashir. Now, we've only had one game to compare these two, and it seemed they were playing in quite different conditions. Look, we know Somerset, we know Taunton can be quite good for spinners later on in the game. However, it seemed that Glamorgan pitch in Cardiff looked pretty pace friendly. But nonetheless, we're going to look at these stats here. Jack Leach in that second innings where Worcestershire piled on the runs, he bowled 4 for 107 off 65 overs. Yes, they were batting out for the draw. That's an economy of 1.64. Great pressure building from Leachy and a fourfer at the end of the day to go alongside his 1 for 26 in the first innings. Jack Leach looks in great form, back from injury. He knows what he's doing, doesn't he? He's done it loads of times before. But on the other hand, Shah Bashir, he got 0 of 92 off his 22 overs, going at over 4 runs per over. Now you look at this and you think, yes, it was a pacer friendly pitch. However, Bashir isn't really showing the ability to hold up an end when the conditions are against him. Let's look forward to a time where England's spinner might need to be able to hold up an end, pile on a bit of pressure in conditions that aren't going to suit him. Australia. If we take Bashir out to Australia and he can't control an end on, not particularly spinner friendly wickets, I'm sorry, we can't take him. We cannot take him. Shah Bashir went out to Australia with the England Lions as well and didn't really light things up. I think he averaged almost 90 over there. We can't be doing this. I think no, sorry, 60. I was thinking about his first class stats. His first class stats are 90 at 5 average. But no, he averaged 60 out there in Australia. That's not on, unfortunately. So we're going to need more of those comparisons. We're going to need more of those little jewels so that we can compare them. But I really don't see how possibly England can play Bashir over Leach. I don't see how it happens. I really think it's important that Leach plays for England. Now, Durham number 3 versus Durham number 4. Two completely different tales for two batsmen. Number 3, let's look at the first innings first. Number 3 was Emilio Gay. A lot of people have been talking about this bloke. He's a new signing from Northants for Durham, saying that maybe this guy could open for England. Well, it was his Durham debut, and he got 0 off 8 in the first innings, whereas number 4, Colin Ackerman, with almost 200 first-class games for Durham, got 116 of 203. Then we fast forward to the second innings where Emilio Gay, trying to not get a pair of ducks, gets 0 of 2 in his debut. A pair of ducks, whereas the number 4, Colin Ackerman, after 116 in the first innings, gets 124 in the second innings. Two completely different stories. Number 3 gets a pair of ducks. Number 4 gets a pair of tons. I mean, this lad, Colin Ackerman, everyone's played one game in the county championship, and this guy's knocked 2 tons. First game of the season, he's got 2 tons already under his belt. What a player he is. Now, for the final part of the county championship, we've got good story of the week and bad story of the week. What news do you want first, good or bad? Well, you're getting good. Jordan Cox, 117 for Essex this week. I mean, it was a huge scoring day for Essex on a pretty batter-friendly wicket. I mean, the outfield looked absolutely like ice at Chelmsford. But Cox had a tricky series in West Indies during November, that October-November time, and he looked poor. He really looked poor in an England shirt. And then he was picked as the extra batter. He was picked as that second wicket keeper for England against New Zealand in that Test series over Christmas time. But then he broke his finger, and Ollie Robinson had to come and take his place. It's been a really gutting winter for Jordan Cox, but this lad getting runs is a great sight. He came out, knocked an absolutely chanceless, beautiful ton for Essex, and he's definitely going to be in England's plans come in the future. Now, moving on to the bad story of the week. Sorry to the Kent fans out there, but Zak Crawley got properly cleaned up by an Aussie on debut who's not done much in the Sheffield Shield, to be honest. Absolutely hooping in swinger that went through a gate so wide that we could see all three stumps between Crawley's bats and his front pad. But Northants versus Kent was a great game, but unfortunately, Zak Crawley got one in the first innings and 31 off 58 in the second innings. Now, that doesn't scream to me a Crawley in form. I know I'm just looking at his strike rate, but it doesn't look like Crawley is going the biggins, does it? It doesn't look like he's in form if he's going at a strike rate of 50 for his 31 and getting out. We know how good Zak Crawley is, and he's better than that. He is really better than that. I'm sure his stats will come into play as we go through the season, but he does need a couple of runs, I feel. He needs some runs before he goes to the England job, and then he can really cash in an England shirt, as he so often does. But we're going to end the show with the Indian Test cricketer legend of the week. We're going to find out who it is. That first clue was he's retired over 10 years ago. Some of you might have got it already. I'd be so impressed if you got it already. But remember, as I said earlier in the show, the fewer clues you get it on, the better. So clue number 2, he's played 164 matches for India. That's a lot of games. So we know he retired over 10 years ago. He's played 164 matches. Clue number 3 was a high score of 270 for India versus Pakistan in Pakistan in 2004. Who's that cricketer who's got a high score of 270? Number 4, this might get a few. His nickname, The Wall. He was the absolute wall in Test cricket. Nothing could get past him. Then clue number 5. Hopefully you can all get it on this one. He's the 4th all-time highest run scorer with 13,288 runs. There he is. Retired over 10 years ago. He's called The Wall. 13,000 test runs to his name. The Indian Test cricket legend was Rahul Dravid. I hope you got it. I really, really hope you got it. And I hope you enjoy the episode as well as you begin to look back and hope that the question got answered this week. Make sure to leave that 5-star review. What see on about. Cheers.